in 2022, races started happening again, and all I did almost once a month, I was racing. I was doing a triathlon almost every month, and I met some friends through it, and one of them came up to me after one of the races, and he was telling me congratulations, and I thought he was talking about the race, and I was like, oh, thanks. Yeah, I think I had won that race. It was just a local little triathlon. And he's like, no, like you earned your professional license. Like there's different criteria to be able to earn your professional license in triathlon. And I guess I had met one of those criteria, and I didn't believe him. I thought he was pulling my leg. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, sure. And he's like, no, seriously. So I went home, I looked up the rules, and I looked up my results, and I was like, wow, I did that.
I'm a pro.
Yeah. So that's like a lifelong dream, to be able to say every kid dreams like they want to be a professional athlete. So.
Welcome to the 7 Eagle Group podcast, your home for inspiring stories, valuable tips, and great advice from hard-charging veterans so you can lead a more rewarding and lucrative post-military career.
Hey guys, it is Jordy from 7 Eagle Group. One of my favorite things is helping transitioning service members and veterans who are doing really cool, what I call kick-ass careers, inspiring careers that are fun, that are exciting. And I got a guy on with us today who's doing something amazing, and I said I got to share his story. This is a active duty Navy sailor out of San Diego. He is a professional triathlete. He's already raced in 3 races, and that is what he wants to do for his career. So here at 7 Eagle Group, he did his internship, doing his internship with us, and we hooked him up with a triathlon training program called NVDM. And this is right up his alley. So while he's transitioning out of the Navy, he's getting a chance to coach other athletes and make them, help them reach their potential in the triathlon industry, and which is biking, running, and swimming. He is a member of the Navy triathlon team. He competes against other branches, and then they also compete in the World Championship. Out of San Diego, a dive med tech, Kyle Warrick. Welcome, buddy.
Hey, thank you. I'm so excited to be here. This is an awesome opportunity.
I'm fired up to talk to you, man, because I love, we place a lot of people into like technology companies and project managers and in aviation and construction, but every now and then we get to place somebody who's doing something what I feel is really cool, because it's right in line with your passion. So why don't you talk a little bit about your military experience? Where did you grow up, and what made you decide to join the Navy, and what has that experience been like for you?
Yeah, no problem. I am actually originally born and raised in Southern California, just a few hours north of where I'm at now in San Diego. And from high school, I started running, and I was on the track team and stuff, and I got pretty good. So I went to college. I went to Southern Utah University, which is up in Southern Utah area near Zions National Park. And I ran for their cross country team and their track team. And I decided to major in marketing, and I had marketing and business administration as my majors. And as I was going through, I was getting these side jobs, internships and stuff, and I absolutely hated being in an office. And so senior year rolled around, and I wasn't good enough as a runner to go pro. That's what I wanted to do originally. I wasn't quite good enough, so what I ended up doing is looking for jobs, anything that did not put me in an office. And so I also loved the ocean. I grew up surfing, being next to the ocean. So I found out about being a Navy diver, and my grandpa was in the Navy. And so that's kind of what I went for. And then found out they have a medical program within the diving community. So I became a deep sea diving medical technician has been my job. And yeah, so I completely stopped running, stopped any kind of endurance sports, and I bulked up a little bit, put on some weight so I can make it through the hard dive school training, which was pretty brutal. Now we started with 80 guys on our team, in our class. We ended up graduating just 8 dudes. And so it was pretty brutal to go through that, but that, made me have the no quit mentality. And I think carrying that into the service has been great. So the last 4 years I've been here in San Diego. Um, been loving it. Yeah.
That is awesome. Oh, I got only 10%, 8 out of 80 made it through that class. What was that like? What were some of those experiences like that just knocked down so many people?
Yeah, it was mostly just being in the water. We lost 50, 60% of the people in the first, 48 hours, I think. And it was repetition after repetition of holding your breath and being uncomfortable, having, water in your mask or not having a mask at all and having to just deal with what we were given at any time. And so I think that is what weeded out a lot of people is you're in the water and you can't breathe. That's very, very uncomfortable. So
I would say so. Damn, that's good for you for excelling in that course. So talk a little bit about the triathlon team in the Navy and what's that like competing?
awesome. Yeah. I made it down to San Diego, my first duty station, and it was in the middle of COVID. So nothing was going on. We moved to downtown San Diego, but there were no bars open. There was no comedy shows or anything. So I ended up, there was no gyms open either. So I ended up picking up running again. Um, so I started to run here and there and ended up, I was like, man, I miss this. And I gotta get like back into a little competition. And I had a little bike as well. And so I started riding my bike around and found out, I can't remember how I found out, but found out that the Navy has this program. It's called All Navy Sports, and they have baseball, they have soccer, they have all the sports that you could think of, bowling, all of those sports. And so I submitted an application. I was like, I've actually did a triathlon a few years back while I was in college for fun, and I would love to try it again. That's sounds challenging, sounds fun. So I ended up being able to be invited to the race. And what we do is you have a group of Navy guys, a group of Coast Guard, a group of Army, Marines. Everybody shows up, and we just go head to head. And we show up the week of Wednesday. We show up to Point Magoo, which is in Oxnard, California. And then we have a couple days. We meet the other guys and girls on the other teams. We have a social dinner, and then we battle our guts out on the race course. And it's really fun to see all these guys who are and girls who are training every day and and doing their jobs in the military as well. So we were able to compete, and then so I did that, and then I went back. I've done it the last 3 years now, being on that team.
Wow, that's awesome. Talk about what were the lengths of the different activities?
Oh yeah, so it's a Olympic distance triathlon is what it's called.
Wow.
So we swim out in the open ocean for it's 1,500-meter swim. So just under a mile swim, and then you hop onto the bike right away. You do a 24-mile bike ride, and then you go straight into a 6-mile run.
Oh my gosh. How did the Navy team do compared to the other branches?
Good. The first year I did it, we won.
Wow.
Yeah, so we did pretty well. I think we've won it 2 out of the 3 years that I've
Nice.
done it.
Nice. What's your best to worst in the disciplines?
Oh, my best is definitely running.
Yeah.
I grew up running, so I did that in college, Division I school. So that's definitely my best. Then I think my swimming and biking are kind of equally not that great compared to my running. So
Yeah.
it's hard to say which is worse than the other, but they're both underneath running for sure.
So you probably have, which is probably good for you because if you can lower your biking time, you spend the most time right on the bike for those 24 miles.
Exactly.
So that you can make up a lot of distance there, I bet. Or a lot of
Yeah.
time, I mean. That's great.
hmm
What's your running? What can you do a mile in? How fast?
Oh, it's been a while since I ran fast, but my fastest mile I ever ran was a 4:13.
Oh my gosh. That is
Yeah,
awesome. You got to get it
I was
under
in,
4.
I didn't get under, I was really hoping to get under 4 in college, but I was just rattled with injuries throughout my entire college career. So
Uh, and it's not like you're going for a longer distance now, so you wouldn't really train for a
Exactly.
mile sprint. It would throw
It's a
you.
lot different racing for about 2 hours rather than four
Yeah.
minutes.
Yeah. So I know your goal, your vision is to excel as a pro triathlete, which I love. I think that is so amazing. Talk a little bit about that. You did 3 races. How'd you do in those races? What made you want to sort of do this for while you're young and while you have the strength to keep pushing through on this?
Yeah, yeah, great. It's such a fun story. So in 2021, so towards the end of COVID, it's when I raced for the Armed Forces race for the Navy, and that was my first triathlon. Getting back into it, I mentioned I had done one a few years back, and I
Mhm.
loved it so much. I was like, I want to do this all the time. So in 2022, races started happening again, and all I did almost once a month, I was racing,
Wow.
and I was doing a triathlon almost every month. And what I met some friends through it, and one of them came up to me after one of the races, and he was telling me congratulations, and I thought he was talking about the race, and I was like, oh, thanks, yeah, I think I had won that race. It was just a local little triathlon. And he's like, no, like you earned your professional license. Like there's different criteria to be able to earn your professional license in triathlon. And I guess I had met one of those criteria and I didn't believe him. I thought he was pulling
Yeah.
my leg. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, sure. And he's like, no, seriously. And so I went home, I looked up the rules and I looked up my results and I was like, wow, I did that.
Pro. I'm a pro.
Yeah, so that's like a lifelong dream, to be able to
Yeah.
say every kid dreams like they want to be a professional
Oh,
athlete. So
athlete. Ah,
that like flipped a switch in my head. I was like, okay, so maybe if I actually put in some time and effort and really dig in, I could do decent and actually earn a living is the goal into
yeah.
this sport. So
Yeah. That's awesome, man. Good for
yeah.
you. So what's the plan? Like, are there, once you're a veteran, are there races you have to do? You have to go on a circuit, or do you get to pick which races you go to, or how does that work?
Yeah, yeah, great question. So Uh, I've moved up from the Olympic distance and I'm now doing half Ironman distances. So that's a bit different. Like you mentioned, I've done 3 of those. So it's a 1.2 mile swim, 56-mile bike ride, and then a half marathon run.
Wow.
And I've done 3 now. My most recent one was actually 2 days ago. And it's a different challenge each one. It's hard to be able to be at your best on the day. You have
Yeah.
to nail the swim, the bike, the run, nutrition as well plays a
Yeah.
huge part. So that's pretty I messed that up on my last couple races and you need to eat quite a bit during these races. But yeah, the goal is do the Ironman has different races. They have tons of races all around the world. They have specific of those races are pro races. And so I can enter any of the professional races that they have, and they have different prize monies for each one and different opportunities in different countries all around the world. So I will be racing mostly in the United States this year. I'll probably go up to Canada once, and I might go out to either Australia or South Africa for a race. But that's the goal is just to kind of get used to the level of racing. Just race a lot of times this year and try and get a few good results
Yeah.
and then seek out, sponsorships and things like that because that's where it gets complicated.
Yeah. Well, I imagine you got to get a ton of those reps in, like you said, right? You got to get a lot of those races under your belt to see how you can get better, your nutrition,
Hmm.
find the winning formula for you. That's so incredible. I love that story. Talk a little bit about now your the internship that you're underway with NVDM, this elite triathlon coaching program. I know she brought you on to help train some of their athletes as well as start a little military division. So talk a little bit about what you do for them.
Yeah. Yeah. So I have a few different roles now on the team. So I am part of their elite racing team. They have a few people that are on that team, and they're at the top of the sport. So I represent them, kind of like they're my sponsor, almost kind of like a brand
Yeah.
ambassador. I wear when I wear my jersey and my kit, I have their name on my kit, and I'm racing for them. I'm also coaching. That's my internship mainly, is going to be coaching for them.
Yeah.
Natasha, the owner, it's a pretty big coaching program, actually one of the biggest in the world, within the world of triathlon.
Yeah.
And so what I'll be doing is taking on targeting mostly veterans, people that I can relate to very well, and whether they're training for their first 5K, 10K, half marathon, full Ironman, whatever it may be, I'll be coaching them, programming the day-to-day workouts in order to prepare them for these races and help them achieve their goals, whether it be to set a new PR or become the next world champion.
That's awesome. I'm in my 50s now, but when I was in my 20s and 30s, I did a few races and triathlons, and oh my God, I look back now at my life and I'm like, what an amazing time that was. I was just average at best, but it was still so much fun. So if there's anyone out there, um, veterans, service members, civilians who are watching this, and you have thought or dreamed of like, man, I'd love to run that marathon or love to do a little sprint triathlon, man, go for it. Go for it. Life is short, man. And reach
Mm-hmm.
out to Kyle. He's with Natasha and NVDM and one of the best one of the best training programs in the world. And these guys will help you get through it, you know. So much of it is just learning from people who are experts in this field and who know how to help you train. Is all your training, I imagine it's all done remotely, right? You meet people on Zoom. Talk a little bit about how you work with people.
Yeah, mostly it is remote. So I work with my coach remotely as well, and so it's kind of the same thing. We use a program. It's called Training Peaks, and that's just a program, an app on your phone or tablet, laptop, whatever, that you record your workouts and then you can upload it to there. And so every day I go on and I look at, okay, what did this client do? What did they work out? They did a 5K run. I could look at their heart rate. I could look at different things and then adjust based on that what they should do tomorrow or the next day. And what we have a lot of people do is send in videos of themselves swimming, biking, and
Oh, that's
running.
good. Yeah, yeah,
That way we can analyze it, give them feedback, because
yeah,
it is beneficial having that extra little bit. So we do
yeah.
work with clients one on one, and it's just like my relationship with my client is very dynamic. It can change based on what happened yesterday that could affect today. So it's
Right. It's
not
all
just like,
personalized to them.
here's a
Yeah,
training plan for the next 9 weeks. Good luck.
yeah.
Talk to
And
talk to you after. Yeah, it's not
do
like
you
that.
do anything with nutrition or the psychological aspect? I know the psych part of this is so important, right? And the thoughts
Yeah.
in your head when you're out there running for 5 hours straight or
Yeah,
something.
we definitely work on that. We work on
Yeah,
mindfulness, being
yeah,
present in the moment. We work on nutrition because that's huge, and so we talk about it and we practice it before the race. That way, our body knows what to expect, and
yeah.
um, yeah, it's kind of an all in all in one program that we have.
Yeah, it's all, and what I like about it too, because you're doing it virtually, it allows you to offer much more affordable prices than if you were in person with somebody and had to meet them at the pool or go on a run. So it really brings this elite level of training to the masses and to everyday people, you know, like me, guys who just want to go out there and see, hey, can I finish a marathon? And I love it. So anyone who is as any interest in this stuff, please reach out to Kyle. We'll put his info in the comments here as well. Well, Kyle, man, I wish you all the best, man. Congrats on following your dream. I love it. I love to see people go down this path, and I'm a huge believer that there are opportunities for people who do follow their passions, opportunities to make really nice careers for themselves. So I hope you absolutely kick ass with this path that you're on. And thank you for taking time to share your story with our audience.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much.